Well, good morning, class. Happy Monday. Feels very strange delivering a live lesson on a Monday. Very strange. And there we go. I can hear myself. So, clearly you can hear me too. Hopefully we've got our sound correct now. Taken us a few weeks. I don't know what was going on with my streaming service, but we've had to test the settings, and anyway, it's all sorted. Hopefully I'm not too loud or too quiet. So, good morning, class. Welcome to our live lesson. So if this is the first live lesson that you've done with me, my name is Miss Kimball, and I'm going to be teaching you and your teacher how to use the Just2easy tool suite. So shall we have a little think about what we're going to be doing today? We're going to be looking at animal fact files using J2 Create. Very exciting. So let's have a look, shall we? This is what we're going to create today. Now, I've chosen to do an endangered species. So endangered means there are very few of them out in the wild. So I'm going to be looking at the giant panda. And this is my giant panda fact file. So you can see there I've got a heading, I've got some subheadings, I've got some boxes, I've got some images, I've got a nice colourful background colour. I've got some really interesting facts. So lots of things for people to look at. So let's have a look. And this is J2 Create. So this is what we're going to create. Now you could also embellish it with things like sound recordings or embedded videos if you wanted to. We're not going to show you how to do that, but teachers, those could be extension activities that you want to provide. Now, as I said, I'm going to be looking at the giant panda. You may well have a different animal that you would like to base your animal fact file around. Okay, so you have free creative license to choose whichever animal it is that you want to create your fact file about. So that is what we are going to create today. But first of all, we need to have a little think about what are we learning today? We're learning to identify and research an animal using trustworthy information. So teachers, I might need you to step in there to help them with identifying the trustworthy information. Okay, we're going to select and organize our facts clearly. We're going to use J2 Create to build a digital fact file. And as part of that, we are going to combine text, objects, and images effectively so that it looks nice and interesting. We're going to present that information clearly for our audience, and then we're going to save our work so we can edit it later or show others. Now, as with a lot of my lessons, it's likely we won't complete the task in today's session. However, because we're saving it, you can come back to it later to edit and to add in those facts. So teachers, it might be that the beginning part of the session we look at adding the headings, the boxes, the images. You could then spend a session working with them to find and research facts, write them down, and then come back to the J2 Create to add in those facts. Okay, so it could be a 3-part lesson. Okay, but we'll see what we can get done, shall we? Now, when we're researching anything, we need to have a think about the sorts of information that we want to find. So today we're learning about animals. Okay, so these are the sorts of things that you might want to research. So teachers, if you want to, you can pause the session. I knew I'd get blinded if I didn't shut my curtains. Seems such a shame when it's such a beautiful day after Storm Claudia to shut the curtains, but I get blinded. What was I saying? So teachers, if you want to, you can use this as a discussion point. So you can pause the session at any time and use these as research points. You might want to have a little brainstorming session with your class about what sorts of information you're going to research, the kind of headings that you're going to go for, and what you want to learn about the animals. So I'll let you have a little pause if you need to. Okay, so I had a little brainstorm and I thought about what we would like to know. So one of the first ones I thought we would like to know is where they live, and that is called a habitat. Can everybody say habitat? Habitat. So you might want to know where their habitat is or what sorts of habitats they live in. So that might be polar regions, it might be woods or forests, it might be a specific country, it might be rainforest, it might be desert. Okay. So my panda, my giant panda, he lives in the jungle in Asia. So he has a very specific habitat. It's part of the problem. It's part of why they're endangered. Okay. Another piece of information is, are they facing endangerment issues? Now I should put this last really. So endangerment issues means, are they dying out? So our giant pandas, they are endangered. So can everybody say endangered? Well done. So endangered means they are running out. There are less of those animals being born than there are animals of that species that are dying. So it might be that they're being killed. So for example, the elephant. The elephant is being killed for their tusks. And they have a very long gestation period, which means they're pregnant for a long time, which means less elephants are being born in the wild than there are that are dying. So they are dying quicker than they are being born. And it's the same with the pandas. So are they facing endangerment issues? What else? What do they look like? So their appearance. We could use photos or pictures for that. Interesting facts that make them unique. For example, giant pandas, not great pandas, giant pandas eat bamboo for up to 14 hours per day. That is a long time. Sounds like my children. Maybe they're giant pandas. And what they eat. So what is their diet? Okay, so all these sorts of things we can research and add into our animal fact file. So teachers, if you wanted to, you could pause a session, allow the children time to research these sorts of facts about a specific animal, write them down, and then you've got them ready to add into your J2 Create if you wanted to do it that way. Okay, right. Next, what makes a good presentation? Again, this is a discussion point. So teachers, if you want to pause the session and have a discussion about what makes a good presentation, I've given my own presentation as an example, a very good presentation. So you can point out the elements. But don't worry, we're going to go over them. So let's have a little think. What is lurking around here? There we go. An easy to read layout. So that is important, isn't it? So we can see the facts. They're in nice sections. They're not all grouped up together. We can see we've got subheadings as well. So where is their natural habitat? Giant pandas live in the mountains of central China. So I do apologise, it's not the jungles. They love cool, wet forests filled with bamboo. Okay, so that is an interesting fact. It's easy to read and it's central. What else have we got? Interesting and accurate information. So accurate is very important. Don't believe everything you read online, children. Okay, so you need to research facts, but also maybe check those facts. So fact check. So sometimes you can read something online and you think, oh my goodness, that sounds interesting. And then when you fact check it, you realise that it is incorrect. Okay, don't believe everything you read on AI. What else have we got? Visually pleasing images and graphics. So this might include photos, drawings, diagrams, charts, or infographics. So you can see here I've got some nice images, not too many, and not too big. So we've got my giant panda, so that helps us to know what a panda looks like. We've got a little wee giant panda down here, baby panda. We've got an image of China, and we've also got this little panda here, and an image of some bamboo. So all of those add to my fact file, but they don't take it over, so they're not too much. So we want some images, but not too many. What else? Clear headings and subheadings. So that is probably what we're going to be able to do today. Talking of endangered animals. Clear headings. So we've got a heading, the giant panda, and we've got my subheadings. So I've used questions for my subheadings. So what do they look like? How many are there in the wild? Question mark. You could use statements instead if you wanted to. Or just single words like habitat, diet. Creativity, so use colours, borders, shapes to make it look attractive but not cluttered. So that is what makes a good presentation. It's a bit of an art. Okay, so who is ready to make one of these with me? Hopefully you've all got your hands up. I wish I could see sometimes. It'd be really nice to see. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to find J2 Create. Teachers, as always, you can pause the session anytime if you need to. If the children need a bit more time to complete the tasks, just hit the pause and then hit play when you're ready and it will pick up where it left off. So children, can you find J2 Create? It used to be called J2E5. It is this one here, J2 Create. There we go. So if this is the first live lesson that you've done with me with J2 Create, we're going to start with the basics. Teachers, if you've done a few live lessons with the children, we're going to change the background first. So if you wanted to check whether they've got those skills, again, you can pause the session. We're going to look at changing our background first, then adding in shapes, then adding in text. So feel free to check if they have those skills already. Okay, so children, we are going to change our background first. So at the moment, my background is in portrait. So you know when you have a piece of paper, or I've got my book here, my daughter's book actually. So portrait means the long bit of the paper is going upwards, so it's along the side. Okay, with a presentation, generally we have it in landscape, so we have the long bit of the paper along the top. Dropping things. Okay, so to do that, can you see at the bottom of your page? I'm going to zoom in, but you don't need to, but just to show you. Can you see this button here? Okay, right at the bottom of your page. Here we go. Here, over here. This one. So you're going to click on that, and can you see, if I zoom out, now I've added a number 5 by accident. The long bit of my page is along the top. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. I'm going to delete this out. Clearly I added that when I knocked it. Then what we're going to do is okay, now teachers, this really depends on if you need to print it or not. So we can add a flat colour, but these flat colours don't print. So teachers, if you are printing, I'm going to show you how to add paper backgrounds as well. But just bear in mind, if this is something you need for a display board, the flat colours don't print, annoyingly. So what we're going to do here, we're going to tick this box. And then can you see over here, we've got all of our rainbow colours along the side. So when I click on these rainbow colours, I can choose any colour that I want for my background colour. Okay, so you've got the rainbow in the middle. Oh, there we go. Up here, rainbow. Then we've also, over to my side, over here, we've also got shades. So if you wanted more of a pastel colour, you can choose the bright colour and then make it more of a pastel. Or a darker shade if you wanted to. Okay, so teachers, if you're not printing the work, I would just stay with the flat colour. But if you do intend on printing their work, they will need to have a paper background. So these are here. Can you see? Again, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this little mountain picture. We're going to click on that and we have got a whole list of paper backgrounds. Now, chances are, teachers, they're more than likely going to want to use a paper background. They do look a bit cooler. I don't like them, but that's just me. So there's lots of paper backgrounds for you to choose from. We can click and add that onto our background. Ooh. Ah. Very nice. So choose a background that you wish to use. I might. That's irritating, isn't it? I do quite like the rainbow one. I will give them that. Then, if you want to go back to a colour background instead of paper background, you can choose that. Okay. So just to reflect, I'm going to move on. It's more than likely that you and your class are going to need a little bit more time, teachers. I've been there. I know what it's like. They need to find the exact right shade. So just to reflect, teachers, if you are printing, they need to have a paper background, which is the little mountain. These are our paper backgrounds. Otherwise, you'll just have a white screen when you print. If you're not printing, you can choose a colour. So we tick this box and then I'm not sure where my colours seem to have disappeared off the side. That's useful, isn't it? Let's refresh that page. Where's it gone? Where has it gone? There we go. I don't know what went on there, but it did. There we go. So I'm going to choose, I had like a green, didn't I? I quite like that green. There we go. It's quite nice. There we go. Okay, so I'm back to where I was. I have no idea what happened. Yes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some boxes. And we're going to lock those to the background so we can add some text over the top. So the box drawing tool is up here. Okay, can you see over here? Right in the middle. Again, I'm going to zoom in just so you can see. I think that was the problem. I think that might be why I lost my rainbow, but we'll see. So can you find this tool here? And we're going to use this one, not the square one. Now, the reason we're going to use this one is because it just gives us a little bit more ability to shape the shapes how we want them. Okay, now I'm going to use, yes, we'll stick with rectangle. Teachers, if you want to direct them to use a different shape, you can. So we're going to click this. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of choose our outline colour and our fill colour. So can you see it says outline at the moment and it's got a little tick. So that means we are choosing the outline colour. So you can choose something that goes with your background. Okay, so or it might complement your background or it might contrast. So I might go for orange so that it stands out. Now we can change this later, it's not a problem. I want you to choose an outline colour. You can just keep it black or white or grey if you wanted to, but I think I might make mine orange. And then we're going to tick this fill box as well. So can you see it says fill? We're going to make sure that's ticked. We're not going to fiddle with the colour of the fill at the moment. Again, that might be an extension activity you want to introduce, teachers. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag on our page. So if you're using a touch screen, click on your page and drag. If you're using a mouse, you left click, hold and drag. And we're going to make our box. Now don't worry too much about the shape and size because we can adjust this, but we're just going to choose one. We're going to draw one box. Okay, So I want you to draw one box on your page, and then we're going to go back up here to, can you see this little arrow? Again, I'm going to zoom in just so you can see this button here. That is our selection tool. So we're going to click on that, and that will bring your cursor back up. Okay, so it means that you're not drawing any more rectangles. And it does mean that we can click and move our box now. Okay, and we can make that bigger or smaller by using our blue boxes. Okay. Now, the one thing I like to do, you don't have to, this is your presentation, but I like to tick the box over here. So I've clicked on my rectangle. Can you see it says rounded? I can click on that, and that's going to make it more of a rounded shape. Okay, I just like how it looks. You might like the angular rectangles. It's up to you. Okay, and you can also adjust the outline. So if you don't like how that looks, we can tick outline, and you can start choosing different colors. I might have white, so it just looks like a box. You could have yellow, green, blue. I actually quite like how the orange looks. Okay, so you're going to finish editing your box, and then instead of having to draw that again and again and again, okay, there's a little bit of a neat trick. So I'm going to zoom in. You don't need to, but can you have a look on your screen? And we've clicked on our box. Can you see this little blue plus button? Might be a little bit hidden depending on your background. Okay, but it will be there. Okay, that is our clone button. So that allows you to clone. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click and hold on that blue plus button. That's going to allow us to make some more boxes. Okay, and then we can do it again and drag one over here, and do it again and drag one up here. And I might drag one in the middle. So we're going to drag a few boxes. Okay, and then this one here, I'm going to make this one bigger because I'm going to make this the image, the panda image button that we had in the middle. Okay. And if you wanted to, you could drag one to the bottom and make it short. Oh, I should have cloned it. Here we go. So if I clone that, move it, there we go. So you can add as many boxes as you want, which however big you want, whatever shape you want them to be. And teachers, I would pause the session now and just give them a bit of time playing around with their layout, with their background boxes. And when you're ready, press play. Okay, I am going to move forward. Now, what we need to do, because we've set our layout now and we like our layout, these boxes are difficult to add text into because when we click on them, like you would, so if you click on your page, that's how you add your text, isn't it? If we click on a box to try and add text into it, it selects the box. So what we need to do, and this is an exciting new skill for you children, is we need to lock these boxes to the page. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to start in the top corner of your screen. So if you're on a touch screen, you're going to click and hold on the screen, and then you're going to move diagonally to the other corner. So we're going to go from this corner up here down to this corner down here. If you're using a mouse, you're going to left click and hold and drag it over all of the boxes like that, and then let go. Can you see that has highlighted all of the boxes? Can you see these blue boxes are in the corners of all of my boxes? So that means I have selected everything that's on the page. Okay, and then we're going to go up here. Can you see there's a little lock right above my head? You see that little lock tick? We're going to tick that, and then it's all going to disappear. So that is now locked to the page. So these boxes are now part of your background. Okay, which means that we can write over the top of them, which is great. Okay. So I've clicked, I've dragged, and I've ticked that lock box. Now, if I do need to unlock them, I just tick that unlock and then click whichever box it is that I want to unlock. So you can move them at a later date if you need to. Okay, so we're going to add in our heading. So we're going to click in this box or whichever box it is that you want to add your heading. And we're going to write our heading. Now, I'm writing about the giant panda. You can write whatever it is that you want. You might want to write animal fact files, and you might want to have a different animal in each box. You might want to just have one animal and have that as the title. You might want to make it more of a punchy title. Mine's going to be quite boring. Mine's going to be the giant panda, but you might want to make it something like, I don't know, I can't think, or something like amazing animals, or I'll let you decide. So I'm going to put the giant panda, and I'm going to the giant Ananda, the giant panda, and don't forget your capital letters because it is a name. So the giant panda. Now, does that look like a heading? Nope. So we're going to double click on our text. I'm going to use our fonts over here. So use your little drop down menu. We all know, Miss Kimball likes impact for a title, but there are other fonts available. So we could go to the more fonts and you can choose the thick filter. And there's some really nice fonts in there. Oh, that's a nice one. Let's go with that one. And then you can make that bigger. Now, once I've made this bigger, because this is quite a narrow box, okay, I've made it bigger, and that's not fitting, is it? So I could drag that up there if I wanted to, but I wanted to fit in that box. So what we're going to do, we're going to double click on our text. First of all, we're going to put it in the middle, so this button here. And then we're going to hover over the side of this box. Okay, we've got a little double arrows, and we're just going to click and drag so that it goes on 2 lines, and you can then adjust the size if you wanted to. Okay, so I've double clicked, I've got that double arrow, I click, hold and drag into the middle. That can be a little bit fiddly on touchscreen devices. Warn you now. Okay, so there is my heading. And then I'm going to add in an image of my panda. Okay, so I'm going to go up to the wee green man who is up here, up the top of my page. I'm going to click on that. And then we go to this little globe button here. Okay, that is our web search or our Google search. So I want to look for some images for my presentation. What sorts of keywords? So a keyword is telling the computer what we're looking for. So what sorts of keywords do you think I could search for my presentation? Hopefully you said panda. So we're going to add in panda. Now, what we can do is we can just drag these onto our page. So that's a cute little panda. But we do also have the setting here that says transparent. So if I tick that, these are now images that have the white box will disappear. There you go. Okay, so that's kind of cool because you can make the images look less of sort of a little box. There's some nice pandas here, aren't there? Let's add our little lazy panda here. Oh, now if that says that, it's because that particular image is copyrighted. So someone has made that image and they've said, I don't want it to be used. So that's why you get that little pop-up. And it's usually with the images that you really want to use. It's very annoying. Okay. Now, other things that I could add in and I could search. The panda likes to eat bamboo, so I could look for bamboo. Okay. And I can drag that onto my page. And Where did we say that the panda lived? In China. So we could look for China. So we've got a nice little outline image of what the country looks like. You could add in some more images. So have a think about what sorts of facts you're adding for your animal. So pandas are excellent climbers and can also swim. Who knew? So I might look for, let's look for a pond. So I could say that. There we go. So we could add this in. So that's a nice little fact, isn't it? Pandas can swim. So have a think about your facts that you've found, and you can add those in as images that will support those facts and make it look a bit more interesting. Okay. And then the last thing we need to do is to add in our subheadings and our facts. I'm aware that I've run over a little bit. I do apologise. So I'm going to add in a subheading. So I'm going to put diet. So that could be a question, or just could be a statement. Didn't like that pond. So I'm going to double click on that text and I'm going to choose a different font. So this time I might go for, let's go for luckiest guy again. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger because it is a subheading. So there we go. And then underneath it, I'm going to set my font. So I'm going to go for, let's go for Comic Sans, I think. And I'm going to write a pandas diet is 99% bamboo. And they can eat for up to 14 hours per day. And I'm going to put a little exclamation mark at the end of that because that is quite an interesting fact. It's a statement. So again, this has gone over to this box here. So we're going to double click on our text. We're going to use those little side arrows on the side of the box and we're going to drag that text so that it's on multiple. In fact, we might go for 4. There we go. And then we can make that text bigger as well so that people can see it to make sure it is visible. And there we go. There is the beginnings of our presentation, so our animal fact file. So to carry on, you are going to add in some more subheadings, some more facts. You could add in some audio. So teachers, if you want to know how to do that, up here is the multimedia. They can record some sound. So that can make it really interesting and interactive. And if you really wanted to make it an extension activity, you could get them to draw a diagram or a picture in JIT Paint and then export it as an image and you can add it into your presentation. So lots and lots of potential for extension activities. Okay, so children, I'm going to leave you to finish off your fact file. But what is the last thing we need to do before we close our laptops down? That's right, we need to save. So we're going to click the save button here and we're going to name this. So I'm going to put Panda Facts. You can name your fact file whatever you want. And that is going to save into my files. So remember, from my files, I can open that up. I can click on my Panda files and I can start editing that again. Okay, I don't know why the thumbnail is not working, but it's not. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed our live lesson. I hope the sound has been better this week. So if there are still issues with sound, please let me know. You can respond to the email that I sent the link via. It's really helpful. I don't know if there's any issues with sound unless people flag it, unfortunately. Just a quick reminder. We're getting very close to our Christmas card competition deadline. It is this Thursday, the 20th of November. So anything that is created in JIT Paint, JIT Animate, J2Create, we had one of those last year and it was amazing. So you can enter via our Facebook group. So teachers, you can find a link to the Facebook group here in your teachers area. So jump on that and then you can screenshot and add those entries in the post that is in Facebook group. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this, children. It has been lovely to teach you as always. I am off for the next couple of weeks, but I will be back for our Christmas live lessons. So we are doing 3 Christmas live. In fact, that week I'm doing 4 live lessons. So we're doing a Christmas coding, Christmas paint. We're doing an invent your monster. That'll be exciting. And also Christmas cards using JitMix. So we've got a session on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday that week. So that'll be an interesting week coming back. So you can book on those, teachers, via the usual just2easy.com/events, or there's a link from your teachers area. Okay, children, enjoy the rest of your week, and thank you for watching. Okay, bye-bye.